The federal government has been formulating and implementing some policies as well as giving directives to address the effects of the current economic realities in the country. One of such is the recent directive to exempt value-added tax from some basic food items in the market. With this, selected basic food items coming from agro and aqua producers will not attract value-added tax. The policy took effect from 15th July 2024 and is expected to remain in force until December 2024. On Panorama today, we shall be looking at the implications of this directive. Are there monitoring strategies on ground to ensure compliance? How will it affect the prices of goods? We have a financial analyst that will be discussing this in the program later. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on the screen for updates. I am Hingino John Adams. Thanks for joining us. Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun has debunked insinuations in some quarters that the police was partisan in the recently concluded local government elections in Rivers State, describing it as false, noting that its decision to boycott the local government elections was premised on a series of court orders calling for stay of action. The Force Public Relations Officer Muyiwa Adejobi at a media briefing to clear the misconception on their role in the election said the court orders restrained the police from providing security for the election.
The Force wishes to debunk the prevailing falsehood of partisanship and reaffirms its neutrality and non-interference in political affairs within the state and the country in general, as the Nigerian police force only acted in line with an existing court judgment of the Federal High Court. Firstly, the Nigerian police force was served with an order of injunction by the Federal High Court made on the 19th of July 2024, barring the police from participating in the local government elections, deeming it unlawful. Secondly, the Rivers State High Court issued a counter order on the 4th of September 2024, directing the Nigerian Police Force and other federal security agencies to provide security at the local government elections. It should be noted that the Nigerian Police Force was not joined as a party in this suit.
The Force PRO, however, said the IGP has directed the reopening of all local government secretariats closed by the outgoing council chairman and an end to the violence in the state. He assured that the police, as a law-abiding organization, is committed to maintaining law and order, rule of law, and protection of democratic institutions. He described the misinformation as and outright falsehood being put in the public domain as unfortunate, urging all the stakeholders to allow peace to reign. Still staying with security, in the spirit of interagency collaboration, Niger Kogi Command of the Nigeria Customs Service has handed over 283 blocks of compressed substance suspected to be Indian hemp to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Dauda Mohammed, who witnessed the handover, reports that 9 exotic vehicles of different
We sincerely apologize for that hitch, but we'll move on. But later, we'll join Ingino again. Let's move on now. Vice President Kashim Shettima says frivolous appeals, alleged intimidation of judges and judgments delivered on grounds of technicalities are some of the challenges that were impeding the war against corruption in Nigeria. President Tinubu, represented by the Vice President, stated this while declaring open the 6th EFCC and National Judicial Institute Capacity Building Workshop for Judicial Officers. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Exchange of ideas between the two reliable partners, primarily to ensure the prevention of corruption and administration of justice to build public trust in governance.
The last count, the Commission is unable to conduct investigation in at least 10 states of the Federation. This is in spite of the clear pronouncement by appellate courts that law enforcement agencies cannot be restrained in carrying out their statutory duties.
Today, corruption has permeated all levels of the Nigerian society. We often read in the media, starting from school children and students in tertiary institutions, about examination malpractices and forging of certificates, sometimes aided by parents and guardians.
Fighting corruption requires political will, and the three arms of government promise to create strong fiscal institutions that will promote integrity and accountability for economic growth.
The present administration also sought to ease the pressure on vulnerable populations, not to embrace corrupt practices through strategic investment of the covert process of corruption in critical social programs. The two notable ones are the students' loan fund being managed by NELCO and the consumer credit scheme under the supervision of the Nigerian Credit Corporation Credit Corp. With easy access to loans, we are confident that most of our indigent students will have no need to embrace cybercrime, while the credit scheme offers workers easy access to money to fund their needs in spite of harsh economic realities.
Combating these crimes requires enhanced stakeholder participation and result-oriented collaboration. Effective integration between stakeholders will strengthen prevention efforts, enhance detection capabilities, and improve the overall effectiveness of our judicial system.
As a nation, it's high time for the establishment of a centralized database accessible to all law enforcement agencies, which can consolidate information regarding financial transactions, suspicious activities, and criminal records.
We must recognize our shared responsibility in the anti-graft war. The fight against corruption requires not only robust legislation, but also a judiciary that is well equipped with the knowledge and skills necessary to navigate the complexities of such cases.
And at the end of the three-day engagement, issues of misuse of security votes and other collective actions in winning the war against economic and financial crimes in Nigeria is expected to be addressed. In Abuja, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
For the continuation of Panorama, let's join Hingino again in Lagos. Hingino.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and welcome back to Lagos. The Nigeria Police Force, Zone 6, Yanagwa, Bayelsa State, has paraded 15 suspects in connection with the vandalization of 132 kV transmission tower line along Ahoda-Mbiama axis of the East-West Road and Igbogene axis in Rivers State and Bayelsa. Aya Prezi was there and files in this report.
The 15 suspects between the ages of 54 and 20 had been in the wanted list of Zone 16 of Nigeria Police Yenagoa for the past few months following their alleged involvement in the vandalization of 132 kV transmission tower line, which has thrown Bayelsa State into darkness for a long time. The arrest, according to the Zone Public Relations Officer SP Gong Ewobowo, was a result of a credible intelligence in Rivers State.
In the course of diligent and painstaking investigation, 35 mm floor core armored cable, 70 mm floor core armored cables, 50 mm SLPE cables, electrical port installator, wheel spanners, cutting blades, long bolts, 11 kV poles, recline cables, earth cables, B-copper and other items were recovered from the suspects.
He called on members of the public to always support law enforcement agencies to succeed in their assignment of ensuring protection of lives and property, crime prevention, and clampdown of criminals in the society.
The Nigerian police force, under the astute leadership of the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbitokun, PhD, MPM, has reasserted his dedication in ensuring the safety and security of all citizens.
The police says the suspects will be charged to court after investigations will have been completed. In Yenagoa, Prezi, NTA News.
Pause here for some messages, more reports when we return. Thanks for being there. The federal government's decision to remove value-added tax, VAT, on basic foods for some months is to make essential food commodities not only accessible but affordable for Nigerians. This, government says, is part of ways of cushioning the effect of current economic realities. Lanre Belei takes a look at implications of the directive by the government.
The removal of value-added tax, VAT, on selected food items in the country, government believes will address supply gaps adding to the current economic realities. The directive is temporary to avoid undermining the long-term strategies put in place to safeguard local farmers and manufacturers.
This is movement in the right direction, especially with respect to food in the country, because the way the country is now, the supply of food is far, far lower than the demand. And this is why the price is rising on daily basis, although we know that the cost of transportation is also adding to it. So whatever government can do to ensure, to bring the prices of food items down is a good decision.
Some of the foods that are expected to be sold without VAT include honey, semi-processed or raw bread, maize, rice, wheat, barley, cooking oils, culinary herbs, flour, fresh or dried meat, milk, and others. Authorities have emphasized that the order does not apply when such basic food items are sold in restaurants, hotels, eateries, lounges, and similar places, or sold by contractors, caterers, and other vendors. In Lagos, Lanre Belei, NTA News.
To further discuss VAT exemption on selected food items, I have with me Mr. Bolahon Olojede, a financial analyst. You're welcome to Panorama.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, what is VAT exemption? Could you explain so that the ordinary person can understand?
Okay, VAT is essentially a consumption tax. So I think an example might drive home the point. So for an item that is supposed to cost 100 naira, if you have a VAT regime of 7.5%, rather than sell that item for 100 naira, it will be sold for 107 naira 50 kobo. So there's an additional amount that the final consumer will bear for consuming that item. So when you say it is exempted, what it means is that that additional amount that the consumer is meant to bear is now removed. It will only pay what should have been the face value of that item. So instead of paying the 107.50 kobo, it will pay 100 naira. And that's the effect of the exemption.
Okay, VAT exemption could sometimes be tricky. How can authorities concerned handle this?
Okay, I'm sure the authorities concerned are also aware of some of the problems. And one of the ways to deal with this is awareness. Awareness on the part of the vendors, the people who are producing those goods, who are selling the goods. Awareness on the part of the final consumers of those services and in this case is goods of consumer of those goods. They need to know. Now, if we talk about the lowest rung of the ladder, where there may not be either enough information or don't feel you may be able to ask the right questions, then the community associations, the trade associations, the cooperatives at those levels could help this lowest rung of the ladder to ask the necessary questions and ensure that they can also benefit from what the government has put in place.
Okay, talking about awareness, we have people in villages that are into maybe fish farming, poultry, who may not be aware of this. How can they now start be aware and maybe know their rights when they are being cheated?
Okay, like I said, it's an awareness thing. So for them as individuals, there may be challenges. But because they do come together as associations, it makes things better. So if you're talking of people who are doing fishing, they have association of fishing traders or whatever they call themselves. You have associations of poultry farmers. And through this association, in fact, those associations also plug into bigger associations. So through those associations, they could benefit, they could ask the right questions, and they could ensure that their members are not cheated of the necessary benefits that should be due to them.
So in other words, you are saying that those that are not part of an association should join.
It is important to join those kind of associations.
All right. Talking about from a financial point of view now, talking about the ecosystem, the financial ecosystem, how do we ensure that this directive is properly managed so that it won't affect the ecosystem?
Okay. At the outset, it will have a temporary reduction in government revenue. Government makes money from VAT. So when you say exempt this, exempt that, it means that money that should have come to the government via those items will not come. However, because in the short to medium term, there is an effect on small and medium-scale enterprises, even on individuals, because you're going to have less angry people on the road if food is cheaper, if food is available to them. And on the part of small businesses, it means that their cost profile will also reduce a little bit. It means they can make more profit. If they can make more profit, they can employ one or two other people into their businesses, giving those people's power to consume. When there is power to consume, we are energizing the economy, and government will ultimately get even more than it has lost in terms of the VAT that it gave away.
Looking at the VAT percentage currently, 7.5.
Yeah.
Will it really have effect on the prices of foods?
It will. 7.5 appears small when you're thinking of 100 naira to 107.50 kobo. But when you amass a lot of 7 naira 50 kobo into the billion, into the space of billions, it begins to have an effect. As a matter of fact, I remember that when VAT was moved from 5% to 7.5, there was a lot of complaint in the system. The economy felt it, and that was a 2.5% raise. So imagine what it will be for a 7.5% reduction.
Okay, knowing well that some traders would like to take advantage of this gesture by not bringing down the prices of their goods.
True.
What do you have to say concerning monitoring strategies that should be put in place to ensure that they comply?
Okay, I think that is part of the reasons why the government said even about 75% of this product should be sold via the recognized commodity trade platforms. But beyond that is the awareness issue that I mentioned earlier. When the vendors are aware, when the consumers are aware, and the associations of all these people can come together and make cases on their behalf, then it will ensure that the policy benefits a lot more people than allowing the traders to hijack it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bolahon Olojede, for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thanks for having me.
Moving on now, time for sports update with Gift George.
Ahead of the commencement of the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup in Dominican Republic on October 16th, Nigeria's Under-17 girls, the Flamingos, were forced to a 1-1 draw against their Mexican counterparts Monday evening in a warm-up game. Faridat Abdulkarim gave the Flamingos the lead in the 33rd minute, while the Mexican ladies equalized 3 minutes to end the first half. Nigeria were playing in Group A alongside host Dominican Republic, Ecuador, and New Zealand. The Flamingos will begin their campaign at the tournament against New Zealand on October 16, 2024. Still talking football, as the Super Eagles players continue to arrive their camp in New York for the 2024-25 African Cup of Nations qualifiers against Libya come Friday, 11th October. President of the Nigerian Football Federation, Ibrahim Gosol, says the players will be given the needed support and motivation to ensure the team qualifies for the next African Cup of Nations.
If you look at the momentum now gathered by the Super Eagles team, you know at least there is some level of progress. And by the grace of God, going forward, I know everybody among these young players know what is at stake. And we are surely going to do our best to ensure that we support the team.
In another development, the Nigerian Olympic Committee Medical and Scientific Commission, in partnership with the International Olympic Committee, is conducting a 4-day workshop on basic life support training and heart savers in Lagos to enhance the emergency response skills. 60 participants have been divided into 4 groups, 15 taking part each day. The Nigerian Olympic Committee says the workshop, which has both theoretical and practical sessions, is dedicated to promoting health and safety medical education in sports.
Once you recognize that somebody's heart has stopped, and how do you know that the heart has stopped if there is no pulse and the person is not breathing? This should be within the golden seconds, which is 10 seconds. We start chest compression. Chest compression, 30 compressions, you give 2 breaths. After that, we talked about how to use automated external defibrillator, which is the AED. The AED is like a heart starter.
Important for us as the Nigerian Olympic Committee to ensure that the coaches, the technical directors, the athlete handlers are enlightened on basic life support so that they know how to do CPR and all that.
Sports update, Gift George, NTA News.
That's Panorama from Lagos Network Center of the NTA. Thanks for watching. I am Hingino John Adams.